Hello students of class 10th. Today I am going to take a new lesson, and this lesson, Footprints Without Feet, is a creation of a well-known English writer. His name is H.G.Wells. H.G.Wells is a famous writer of English, and a very famous novel is there written by him. The name of the novel is An Invisible Man. This lesson, Footprints Without Feet, is a lesson in the book Footprints Without Feet of class 10th NCERT book. This is something amazing. This is something surprising and interesting also कि book का नाम भी Footprints Without Feet है, and the name of the lesson is the same, Footprints Without Feet by H.G.Wells. This is the story of a brilliant scientist whose name was Griffin. Griffin was a brilliant scientist, but at the same time he was a lawless person. A lawless person is a person who is not ready to follow the laws or the rules. Sometimes this lawless person, goes beyond the rules, goes beyond the laws. So he was a brilliant scientist, but he did not want to lead a very simple or an ordinary life people are in habit of leading. The story begins with two boys. These two boys, they saw on mud footprints, and these footprints were going somewhere. The boys, they were unable to find out the man whose footprints were there. So they tried to chase the footprints, but after some time, they chased for some time, but after some time the footprints vanished, they disappeared. These footprints were of Griffin. As he was a brilliant scientist, as he was a scientist of inventions, he was trying to invent a formula which can make a person invisible, and at last he succeeded, and he grabbed that drink, the formula or the chemical, and he became invisible after drinking that new invented formula of his own. Where he was living, the landlord was a generous person, was a kind person, but Griffith, who was a lawless person, he didn't have enough money to pay the rent of the house. So the landlord was frequently asking him to pay the rent. And as Griffin was a short-tempered person also, he became angry and he burned down the landlord's house. He did not want to be caught. वो पकड़ा नहीं जाना चाहता था, but the problem was that no doubt he was an invisible man because of that drink, because of that new invention. But when he was wearing clothes, his clothes and his structure was visible. He was invisible, but he was solid like glass. So the visibility was there because of his clothes. So he removed his clothes and started living naked. When he is naked, nobody could see him. Now the next problem for Griffiths was that when he is roaming without clothes, he feels cold, because in England it is very cold. बहुत ठंडा होता है. So what did he do? He went to a store to steal something, to find out or to get some clothes. He went inside the clothes. People were unable to see him because he was invisible, and during night time he selected some warm clothes for him. And after wearing warm clothes, he felt cozy. उसने कुछ आराम महसूस किया. And then he searched for food and ate enough. Then he drank some wine also from the nearest restaurant and came back to the store and slept there. He thought that the next morning he will wake up and will go before coming of the people. Next morning, the assistant of the store, he came and he saw Griffin sleeping there. He tried to grab him. He tried to catch him. And from there also, Griffin ran away. Now he did not want to live in the city. He went to a rural area, to a remote area, and reached to an inn. Inn means a kind of hotel. सराय इसको बोला करते थे, जहाँ पर लोगों को रहने और खाने की व्यवस्था हो जाती थी. So he went in and booked 2 rooms and promised them that he will pay money for the rooms and the food. He had stolen some money from the store also. He had stolen some money from that store from where he had stolen the clothes, food, and wine. After some days, when he lived there for some days, some time, the money was, he was spending money, so how much he could afford. It was difficult for him to pay a regular amount as a rent of the 2 rooms. So he decided to steal once again. This time he stole money from a clergyman's house. A clergyman was there in the remote area in the village, and he stole some money from there. In the meantime, Mrs. Hall, the owner of that inn, she wanted to know something about Griffin, because Griffin was living there mysteriously. His personality was mysterious. So when Mrs. Hall tried to find out what is there inside the room of Mr. Griffin, all of a sudden something happened which troubled Mr. and Mrs. Hall. It seemed that something was there inside the room, though it was not visible, because at that time Griffin was invisible. He was not in clothes. Mrs. Hall was surprised, and Mr. Hall too, that the furniture was disturbed. Even the furniture was flying like anything. And something was there inside the room, which was trying to attack. So the constable Jefferson was called. And when Jefferson came, he was also surprised to see that something was there, some invisible man was there wearing some clothes. After some time, he tried to catch him. उसने पकड़ने की कोशिश की, but Griffin started throwing his clothes, throwing his bandages, everything, and was slowly was changing into an invisible man, and leaving all clothes there. As an invisible man, he ran from there. This is the story of this lesson, Footprint Without Feet, by H.G. Wells. Okay?